Hello, all you wonderful people. Welcome to the Ziggy Master YouTube channel. As you may or may not know, this is the day where Five Nights at Freddy's turned 11 years old. Dang. Freddy Fazbear has been around for a long time. Anyways, yeah, I didn't really have any, big idea for what I should post on the FNAF 11th year anniversary, because, well, to be frank, no one subscribes to this channel for the Five Nights at Freddy's content. You guys already showed me that. So, um, so here is this video. This is a very interesting video that I have made, and I don't even think you will watch it, or at least, sit down to, watch the entire thing. This is a video where I rant about Five Nights at Freddy's for an hour, and yeah, that's all the video is. There isn't any surprise updates and projects I'm working on or anything. No, this is simply from the bottom of my soul a rant video where I just talk nothing but Five Nights at Freddy's for like an hour. So, anyways, here it goes, I guess. Okay, so right off the bat, as of recent, FNAF stuff, it's bummed me out a little bit, just because, obviously, Secret of the Mimic, I mean, that's a really cool game. I really liked Secret of the Mimic. It was a really cool game, but I'm really scared because of the fan reception of the game. I'm scared because I don't think people really care or treat FNAF seriously, or just, yeah, they just don't care anymore about FNAF. Which, I understand people grow up and, people change and stuff, but, it feels like almost no one's in the FNAF community anymore. At least, none of my friends that I talk to, they don't care about FNAF. So, I don't know. I have no one to talk to about this, funny, weird bear game that I don't even know why I'm obsessed with this franchise. I've been obsessed with this franchise ever since it came out. Ever since I don't know, when I was six, I think it was 5 or 6 when the first FNAF came out, and I've been obsessed since then. I have dedicated quite a bit of my life to it. I have a bunch of merchandise. If you took all the merchandise that I accumulated in my lifespan, it would probably come out to be around maybe $1,000 to $2,000. I have dedicated quite a bit of my life to Five Nights at Freddy's. And yeah, that really shows, I guess. Yeah. So, I don't know, it really stings for me to see, I don't know. Okay. So I guess one big reason why I feel like FNAF, people aren't really giving FNAF, a good chance anymore, is obviously the failure of Security Breach, because a lot of eyes were on Steelwool's shoulders to make FNAF, to make Security Breach. And Security Breach, obviously, when it came out, obviously it had a lot of built-up, but it doesn't matter because the game ended up being kind of a glitchy mess, I guess. Which, I guess, yeah, that would... I understand that people wouldn't really have confidence in FNAF past that, but that was what was that, 4 years ago? I mean, there is the FNAF movie, which is somewhat recent, but I don't really see many people even talking about FNAF 2 anymore. Well, there's obviously some people, but no one's talking about FNAF 2, or even Secret of the Mimic, which is even more sad to me because I'll get to Secret of the Mimic. I'm talking about the movies right now. Um, but yeah, people, I guess, uh, okay, my opinion on the FNAF movie is very mixed. I like the FNAF movie, I guess. It's an okay movie, I guess, but here's the thing. It isn't what I wanted the movie to be, which, yeah, I know Scott isn't gonna be like, oh, Ziggy Master wants this movie this way, then we have to make it this way. But it it's made for a fan audience to point at the screen and go, oh my god, it's the yellow rabbit, oh my god, it's Balloon Boy, which obviously a general audience wouldn't react like that. I really wanted a FNAF movie that was mainly for general audiences. I mean, just because then I could show my like parents and show my friends like FNAF and be like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," and then they could possibly get into FNAF. But if the movie is made more for like a fan audience, then it's a bit more difficult to like do that. And we haven't gotten much information about FNAF 2 at the time that I'm recording this, which is August 1st. We haven't gotten much information about FNAF 2, but judging by the trailer, it seems to follow a similar format to the first movie. It's a bit darker, which I guess is a step in the right direction because the FNAF movie wasn't scary at all. It literally was not scary at all. Especially me, who gets like scared at like random jump scares and things. The only time that I kind of jumped at the movie was it was the second time that Balloon Boy showed up, because I'll be honest, Balloon Boy was leaked to me before. I didn't know about Sparky though, but I didn't know that Balloon Boy was gonna show up again, which yeah, that did get me a little bit in the theater. But something that like really got me, and this is coming from being like a really, really old fan, is the Sparky cameo. That really made me smile. In fact, that's probably the most happiest that I've been in a theater in a while. Just seeing Sparky the dog there. Because that's how you know that, like, Blumhouse and them, they care about this franchise if they put fucking Sparky the dog with how obscure that character is. And he's not even a character, really. He's not even a character. He's just a concept, but they put him in the FNAF movie, which is incredible. But I guess getting back to the FNAF movie 2 talk, FNAF 2, it looks alright. I'm not the biggest fan of FNAF 2, the game, but the movie looks alright. It looks fun, I guess. One thing that is really cool is the actor who plays like the camera person in FNAF 2. I don't know the actor's name. But one thing that I thought was really cool is that I know he's in Final Destination as well. I don't know anything about Final Destination, but he's in Chucky. He's in the TV show. He plays Junior. That was really funny to see. Also, the guy who plays Al from Al's Toy Barn in Toy Story 2, he's also in the FNAF 2 movie. That feels kind of special to me, because those two drastically different franchises I am also kind of obsessed with, so that felt a little special to me specifically, that those two people are like in the FNAF movie. Two people that I do know from other things that I know, projects, I guess. Other cool things about FNAF 2, I guess, again, it looks way darker, but not like dark like theming wise, but dark like just like the lighting is like darker, especially when it comes to the pizzeria. I am slightly worried how they're gonna adapt FNAF 2, just because they seem to be like going in like a completely different direction with like them out in the world, I guess. Which I guess is an interesting concept, but I don't know. I'm just a little worried what they're gonna do with it, and it's not gonna be that good. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like fucking special delivery. Um. Also, one thing that has me thinking is how are they gonna do FNAF 3? Because FNAF 3 is a very like specific and like kind of weird game. I don't know how they could adapt that into a movie. Like, okay, so one thing that I didn't expect the original movie to do was to actually have it take place 5 nights. Because, obviously, if something bad happens to you the first night, why the fuck would you go back? But they did make it work in the first movie, and they did have it make sense a little bit, I guess. I have no idea how they're gonna do that with FNAF 2, though. Like, how is that going to work for FNAF 2? like with the Five Nights thing, because most of the things that we see from FNAF 2, it looks like it takes place at nighttime. So it looks like it's, I don't know, it looks like it's like, there's no like transition scenes, I guess. Um, but yeah. Another thing about FNAF 2, I guess, is there's that technically like leaked footage that was at Comic Con. Um, about like this like worker bringing these kids into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, like the FNAF 2 version. That guy, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the villain of this film. We don't know his name yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be Dave Miller or something. Yes, in the books, Dave Miller was like an alias for William, but I feel like the movie universe, because they're like twisting and turning things a lot, Dave Miller would be a separate character in the movie universe, and he would be the main villain of this. He would be the main villain of this movie. Because obviously William is not around. He's not going to show up until the third movie, which he is in this one, but he's probably only going to be in flashback slash hallucinations of Vanessa, I guess. Um, but yeah, overall, I am fairly excited for FNAF 2. I do think it is going to be an improvement from the from the first movie. But I don't know. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with it. Also, releasing it on December 5th, that's a pretty weird time to release a movie, I'll be honest. At the It's not even at Halloween, which they could have released it at Halloween because they started filming it at like the same time as the first movie. I think it was a little bit before the first movie. I think they begun filming like October of last year, and obviously they're done filming now. I don't know. I feel like they could have released the movie on Halloween as well, like the first movie, but I guess they don't have to. I do wonder when they're going to release FNAF 3, though. I just realized the release dates for the movies are kind of line up with the release dates of the games. I just realized that. Because FNAF 1 movie was in October, which is close to, I guess, August. Not super close, but pretty close. And then FNAF 2 is coming out in December, which is close to November, which is when the game came out. So, I don't know, they might follow something with FNAF 3. In that case, would FNAF 3 come out in, like, I don't know, February or March or something? That seems really early in the year. I don't think movies perform well if they're really early in the year. But, yeah. Um, Yeah, I really just want to move on to Secret of the Mimic, I'll be honest. If I come up with any like cool ideas for FNAF for the movies, I'll talk about them, but I just want to hop into Secret of the Mimic. So, one of the big things that FNAF struggles with is the story, right? Like obviously the story, it's cryptic and mysterious. It's intended to be that way. It has been that way literally ever since the first game, where there's a cryptic and mystery type story happening. But I don't know, it's a little hard to like make people listen because here's the thing, Secret of the Mimic, it has its own story, and I feel like a general audience member could sit back and play Secret of the Mimic without any knowledge of the previous FNAF games, and they would probably enjoy themselves. But here's the thing: no one is giving Secret of the Mimic a chance simply because of like two factors. I think because of the memes. Because this game, even before it came out, was a meme, and then just past FNAF experiences putting people off with security breach and stuff. I don't think a general audience member is gonna like grip on to Secret of the Mimic. Like, what does that even mean? It's it's just it honestly makes me kind of depressed just because I played it, I loved it. It's a really good game. It's really good. It has a great story, but No one cares about that. Literally, no one cares. At least that's how I feel. It feels like nobody cares anymore. Um, but yeah. So I guess breaking down the story of Secret of the Mimic to like explain why it's good. I guess we start off with Arnold, who basically throughout the whole game we learn very little about. There is unused dialogue of Arnold like saying that his parents are dead and that he lost custody of his kid, and shit, which I feel like is played for a joke, just because it's like some quick dialogue. So Steele is getting good at writing jokes. I'll be honest, especially when it comes to Dispatch later in the game. Steele is definitely good at writing jokes now, which is very very pleasant to see. Especially because the writing in Security Breach I thought was pretty weird. But Secret of the Mimic, they actually kind of nailed dialogue like a lot. They probably got Scott's help with it like a lot. Yeah. But yeah, so we play as Arnold. We're hired by Fazbear Entertainment to retrieve the schematics for the Mimic, basically. The Mimic being a old endoskeleton created by Edwin Murray, who is a contractor for Fazbear Entertainment. So one of the big things, it gets revealed like later in the game, like towards the end, that like Edwin was helping Fazbear Entertainment develop Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, basically. A lot of people I've noticed misinterpret things and like I don't know. They think that Edwin made absolutely everything that Fazbear made. Like, oh, they made Chica, Edwin made Foxy and Freddy and all these guys, and no. Edwin is a contractor. He is contracted by Fazbear Entertainment to make something, and that something was Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So, so you made, and yeah, so that's what we see at the end of the game is the like the prototype broken down, not really broken down, but like just prototype pizzeria, which is the same map as FNAF 1, which also has the map for FNAF 3 in there, which I think, because the thing with Secret of the Mimic, the whole game is made to like tie up some like loose ends with the whole franchise. If you look in that like basement area, you can find the like the map for FNAF 3, which makes no sense. But here's the thing. It seems like it makes no sense. But in FNAF 3, canonically, they were like scrubbing through old Fazbear stuff to use for the horror attraction. So they probably found that like print and they like used it like, hey, why don't we use it for our attraction? Wouldn't it be like realistic if we had like an actual like map that was used? Like that I feel like is perfect, and there's way more things. There's okay. So another like smaller thing that's like explained is a lot of like old stuff from like Fredbear's depict Fredbear with like a black top hat and a black bow tie, like Golden Freddy basically, because Golden Freddy has like a black bow tie and a black top hat. But obviously Fredbear is more known for his purple bow tie and his purple top hat. So to explain why exactly those two things are like that, I guess, is Edwin has a purple bow tie. So it's assumed at the end of the game, of course, Edwin's dead. Freaking Mimic, yeah. So Edwin's dead, and Fazbear Entertainment, or just William, is in the process of stealing all of Edwin's shit, basically. So they came up with, William probably came up with the idea, hey, why don't we give Fredbear this purple bow tie? I mean, wouldn't it be cool if, like, Spring Bonnie had, like, a black bow tie and purple, and then Fredbear had, like, a purple one? Yeah, that would be cool. And also in the prototype of the Fredbear suit, it also has the purple bow tie. Probably because Fiona gave it to the prototype. Probably. So yeah, that explains it. It's because of Edwin. That's why the purple bow tie is, like, prevalent. It's because of Edwin. Again, but here's the thing. I think Edwin as a character, obviously, he has his own backstory, which I'll probably elaborate on in this long-ass video. But, again, he has his own backstory, but I feel like also him as a character is made to explain a lot of, like, really teeny tiny mysteries in the FNAF series. Obviously, the biggest one, like, most prevalent throughout the game, is Chica's Party World. That was something referenced in, like, the source code of Sister Location, which was nearly 10 years ago. And now we finally know what Chica's Party World even is. It was Fazbear and Edwin's, like, first ever, like, idea, I guess. Keep in mind, Fredbear's did exist at this point, but Fredbear had the black top hat and the black bow tie, and also Spring Bonnie was there, and I think he just had a purple bow tie or a black one. I don't know, but either way, one of the first things that they were contracted with is making Chica's Party World, which Fiona came up with the designs. Fiona is Edwin's wife. Fiona came up with the designs for Chica, and obviously that's that suit that we see towards the end of the game, the one that the Mimic's in, the one that's like all like a weird cartoony Chica and stuff, party time Chica. So, and also explains the cupcake as well. The cupcake was like the cupcake originally had like legs and was with like a band of other like sentient food items, which it makes sense because it proves it shows where Chica came from. It's not like showing like Edwin made all these characters like they're ruining the FNAF lore. No, it's showing us where these guys came from. And besides, Edwin did not make literally everything that Fazbear Entertainment made. Edwin just made some things, but not like absolutely everything. Like, I don't think this ruins the FNAF story in any way. I feel like it just adds and like shows way more. And honestly, I think it makes the FNAF story a bit more comprehensive, because it's just showing us where these things come from. It's not like making new stuff. It's not like showing us all this new crap and expecting us to understand it, like what Security Breach does. It's it's actually like showing us stuff from the past and telling us what it's about. And that is legit what FNAF needed. It's exactly what FNAF needed. It was to show us what FNAF is about, and here we are. Secret of the Mimic. It is showing us what it's about. It's showing us like all this old stuff, and it's helping us understand what it all means. That's fucking... Again, that's just one good thing about Secret of the Mimic. That's just one good thing. It's such a good game. But yeah. So, again, Fiona and Edwin, they did create, or at least get the concepts for Chica's Party World. But then, obviously, the Fazbear project got told about, and yeah. And then, I'm guessing William, in the process of as the Fazbear project is going on, comes up with the idea of just stealing all of Edwin's shit, or maybe this was William's whole idea to begin with. So he began telling some of his employees, or actually some of Edwin's employees, that they could get like a restaurant, like they could be a manager at a restaurant for if they did this for him, if they like showed him the schematics for the Mimic, which was Edwin's most impressive invention, which we'll get to that. But yeah, and then of course it's revealed in the messages that Ralph is the one who basically kind of just steals these, like finds out about the Mimic and like tells everyone, and might have I don't think he stole the schematics, but he did at least like tell like people about the mimic, I think. And if you don't know who Ralph is, it is explained in the books. But here's the thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Ralph is phone guy. Ralph is the phone guy from FNAF 1 and 2. But here's the thing. I think I don't think we should pay attention to the books at all. Here's the reason why. So yes, it is elaborated on in the book. I forgot what it was called. Like it's one of the interactive books that Ralph is phone guy basically. But here's the thing. William came up to him in Secret of the Mimic with a promotion to be a manager at a new establishment, which is presumably Chica's Party World, because Chica's Party World, of course, existed at this time. So, the manager role, we know that he becomes a manager, I think, in FNAF 2. I'm pretty sure. It might have also. I remember he was talking something about he was like a manager at like some previous location or something during FNAF 2. I swear I remember that. So that explains like that these two characters are connected. So you aren't forced to like know anything about the books, which again, I'll be honest, I really don't like the books. They I feel like are destroying FNAF. It is not the games, it's not the complex story. It used to actually be the story. I feel like that was destroying FNAF, but now they're finally getting a good grip of it. I think the books are destroying FNAF. The books tell us a lot of information that is sometimes helpful, but also sometimes completely useless and makes us like wander in circles for hours about just legit nothingness. That's all that the books really are. They just tell us nothing. To be fair, they do give us information, but here's the thing. The information that they give us is also explained in the games, namely the Mimic. Because, again, the whole Mimic story was kind of elaborated on throughout the Tales from the Pizzaplex epilogues. The Mimic story was told throughout, but here's the thing. The books are not canon. The books are not canon. Simply, one of the big things is Fiona dies in the books during childbirth. Obviously, Fiona is around for at least David's second birthday before she ends up kicking the bucket in the games. So that already shows you that the games are not canon in this. I mean, the books are not canon in the slightest. And also, the books make things just so much more complicated. I really think we should just ignore the damn books. I honestly just don't want freaking FNAF books in general. Like, I'm fine with like these like stupid interactive books that like give us free stickers and shit. But like books that are made to explain like lore are just they're too complicated. This story is already so complicated. Why are you throwing more shit at us that like doesn't relate to anything like sea bonnies or fucking pregnant man with Springtrap or whatever the fuck? Like stop giving us this random stupid shit. Just give us the actual story. Like if the books are made to like show more about the story of FNAF, then do that. Don't just like do that through the games. Don't just give us random shit that doesn't connect to anything. And if some things connect to like some things, or maybe Scott just wanted to do a cool story, then don't throw like other random bits of lore that will be explained later in the games. Like, don't do that, because if you do that, it's only going to make us more confused by just all this other freaking shit, all this other stuff that's just like thrown into the books. We don't know what is part of the games, what is just like a random story. Again, FNAF is so hard to talk about. It's so hard to talk about. Just because of how complex it gets and how most people who are part of FNAF just kind of just gave up with the story and gave up with most things that regarding FNAF. They just gave up. Again, I don't blame them. I don't blame them because shit has gone so confusing. It's gotten so off the walls and so insane. I get it, but it still is just. I want people to like FNAF. I have been attached to FNAF, and especially with this new game. This new game is so good that Fiznom, who is known for like not liking Security Breach and not liking Ruin, and that's what got him into like controversies and no FNAF Plus and stuff. He likes Seeker the Mimic. He made a video talking about how good Seeker the Mimic is. If a person who is known for not liking FNAF talks about like how they are liking FNAF, like this new game, that's how you know this game is good and it deserves your attention. If one of FNAF's like biggest haters who was going to develop something for FNAF finds that like this game is good, that's how you know that the game is good. It's, I don't know, I feel like I'm just going in circles and all I'm saying is just Seeker the Mimic good, play Seeker the Mimic, but like, it's just, the game is good, the game is so good, and I really want people to, I mean, here's the thing, if you can't play the game, just watch videos on it. Do not watch Markiplier's playthrough. I actually got a little pissed off because of Markiplier's playthrough, because, here's the thing, people desperately want old FNAF, quote unquote. I gotta open the door. People want old FNAF. Old FNAF to people is point and click survival horror experience, point and click how Scott Cawthon made them. But here's the thing, we're never getting another point and click game. We never will. Scott I'll be honest, he's probably getting too old to make video games anymore. Obviously, yeah, the last game that he made was a year ago. It was that, well, he didn't even, here's the thing. It was the FNAF movie game, which was a troll game, but that game in itself was a reskin that Scott made it was a game for his kids that he reskinned, so it's not even like a new game that he specifically made, I guess. So, what I'm saying is, Scott isn't gonna be making, like, people just need to accept that FNAF is now, walking in a 3D environment, exploring your environment, and then surviving against some kind of killer robot, like, in a 3D environment, and using tools that you have against it. That's what FNAF is now, and I've gotten used to it, and again, I like it. I do think new FNAF is good, but a lot of people just want to see the old shit all over again. If you're that desperate for the old shit, just wait for the fanverse crap, man. The fanverse will literally give you exactly that, with like Pop Goes and Candy and all that stuff, or just any old FNAF fan game, that will give you your precious point-and-click survival horror game. Again, I was a fan of the old games, but I'm also a fan of the new games, and I'm just so sick and tired of people always saying, oh yeah, I like FNAF, but it's not as good. I like new FNAF, but it's not as good as old FNAF, point-click, and, like, why are we comparing freaking apples to oranges? Why the fuck are we comparing these two? Like, I get it. FNAF, freaking, I get it. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It changed a little bit. But, like, it's still Five Nights at Freddy's at the end of the day. FNAF wasn't about the point-and-click survival horror aspect. Obviously, it was about horror, but it wasn't, like, specifically, like, you're in an office and you're forced to, like, click around with, like, the mouse and shit. It wasn't about that specifically. It was about the horror aspect, which I feel the new game, especially Seeker the Mimic, definitely captures. Now, I do think Security Breach kind of failed at the horror aspect a little bit. But again, I think with that game, Steel will they were given the green light to make a whole new big budget FNAF game, and they went freaking hog wild. And then for like 3 years or so, however long Security Breach was like in development, they went absolutely crazy, making thousands and upon thousands of different things for Security Breach, and the game got bloated, and the game ended up failing. I still kind of like Security Breach because I see what it was trying to do. It was trying to be a different FNAF game, a different approach, but it still ended up failing at the end of the day. And obviously, people aren't like shouting like the name secure. Obviously, people are like referring to like Security Breach as like this black sheep of the FNAF games now. Like, I I understand Security Breach. It opened really buggy and annoying and shit, but like, come on, we can't. The game is like fixed now. Obviously, yeah, we can still say that it was a bit of a disaster when it came out, but we should stop. We should stop treating the game like it's still this like broken and buggy mess. It still is a good game at the end of the day. It. I do think the story, which they did not fix in the slightest, is still off the walls and really, really weird and crazy Security Breach. But here's the thing. I feel like in modern day, especially with like Ruin, they're trying to fix the story. So one of the biggest things that like when I ask people, hey, why is FNAF like this thing that people don't talk about anymore? Like, what do you think? And like, I don't know, we get into like this conversations and stuff, and one of the things that always gets brought up is Burn Trap. Burn Trap is apparently like people say, oh, they brought back William Afton. Oh my God, they brought back William Afton. This is so corny and so stupid. Okay, here's the thing. I do believe that originally, the original plan for Security Breach, I believe, was to actually have William Afton be the main villain, to have Glitch Trap from Help Wanted be the resurrected spirit of William Afton. I think that is what they were trying to go for originally. But because of the fan backlash for having William Afton return, and of course a lot of other backlash with Security Breach whenever it first came out, they changed Burn Trap, and he is now basically, he's the Mimic now. Burn Trap is the Mimic. And also, if you're really confused about like what ending in Security Breach is canon and all this other shit, it's pretty fairly explained throughout Ruin, because there's like these special comic pages, and if you find all of them, each one is like a different ending, and one of those is the Burn Trap ending. In fact, it's the one that's in the Burn Trap like fire pit thing, which you need to go through in order to like get to the end of Ruin. So you literally can't miss that one. So it's almost like it's like shoving it in your face, saying, "Oh yeah, Burn Trap, he is not canon. Burn Trap is not real. Burn Trap is not a real character." And if you're that desperate to like say that Burn Trap is real, then okay. So the whole thing about the comic pages is that Gregory made them, and also one of the things that Freddy tells him right before he heads down into the elevator into the Burn Trap ending, he says that the elevator can only go one way. It can't go, once it goes down, it can't go back up, which already should tell you that the ending isn't real, because Freddy and Gregory literally go through the elevator to escape, and they turn out just fine at the end credits, so that should already tell you that the ending isn't real if they manage to escape through that same damn elevator, which they definitely do, because when you see them running, they pass by the Freddy statue, and it's they go through the fucking elevator. But so my idea is that all the other endings for Security Breach no matter if they're a comic strip or not, my idea with the comic strips is just because Steel Wool were lazy bastards and they just didn't want to animate something like big. Or okay, I just thought of another idea for it, but I'll get back to that. What you could say is that all the endings besides the Princess Quest ending could all have been like an labyrinth like idea that Gregory had, and that's why they're a comic page in Ruin. Now, okay, going back to my idea that Burntrap was supposed to be William in like the original version of Security Breach, it was supposed to be William. Um, it also explains the comic pages and why some of them are like all like comic page and like some of them are like super highly like budgeted animation. That could have been Steel Wool's old way of telling us what endings were canon, because I do think that they wanted the Burn Trap ending to be canon, but obviously they have since changed their minds, and that was the entire point of Ruin. It was made to show the new version of Security Breach. Literally, the new version of Security Breach. They made it way more scarier, and they fixed the story to where it makes a bit more sense now. And oh my god, okay. That's what the entire point of Ruin is. And of course, at the very end of Ruin, the whole like game of Ruin was building up this character, the Mimic, who I'm just gonna ignore the fucking books. The Mimic as a character was made to be all mysterious. Very, very odd. In fact, he wasn't even called the Mimic in the game files for Ruin, I don't think. I think he was called like Old Endo or something. But yeah, just this character, all mysterious. He, over the time span of Secret the Mimic and Ruin, which was about like 2 years, he became kind of a meme in the community, with like the Mimic being a meme, just because it was like so off the wall. Because we already knew about the Mimic in the books at the time. He was a character that was known, and to see that he was just there just there in the games, it sent people into a frenzy, and they were just so like caught up. Like, what the fuck? The Mimic he's in the games. Does that mean that the books are canon? All the books are canon? Holy crap! All the books are canon. That means that freaking the Tiger Rocks and the fucking like people went fucking crazy with like the books and stuff. In fact, I even remember when I first played Ruin, I got pissed off because of the Mimic was there, just because I didn't like that. I didn't like where the books were going. Obviously, my mindset has changed now, but again, I don't even like the books anyways. Books are trash. the FNAF books are trash. But anyways, back on track. The Mimic becomes a pretty big meme in the FNAF community, and then of course over time, we obviously the idea of the Mimic stays a little stagnant because all we have for the Mimic is just the description from the books, and then its appearance in Ruin, and that's all we really have. And then, of course, Help Wanted 2 comes out, skipping the FNAF movie entirely, because FNAF movie doesn't talk about the Mimic, obviously. Help Wanted 2, its original update, no talks of the Mimic anywhere, except for a very important part that I'll get back to later, about Glitch Trap dying. But I'll get back to that later when it comes to discussing the Mimic. Basically, no, on the original update of Help Wanted 2, no mention of the Mimic, except for a little bit after Secret the Mimic was announced, like in the gameplay trailer, which already back then, it was a bit of a meme, because even, I'll be honest, that is a bit of a goofy name, I'll be honest. Like, I guess, I mean, yes, the game is about the Mimic, and the Mimic does have a secret, so the freaking title, it is accurate, but it still is pretty stupid. So, but whatever. But anyways, a little bit after the trailer came out, they announced an update for Help Wanted 2, which was the Mimic update. Which after they announced it, freaking came out 2 days later, and it was a very, very small update, and it just showed off like some more stuff. and it didn't really tell us that much. It was more just like confirming stuff that we already knew about from the books. So I guess all the books are just like showing us like a preview of what's to come in FNAF. Like they're just a preview. So if you're really curious about what's gonna happen next in Freddy Fazbear freaking Land or whatever, then look at the books, I guess. But if you just want to sit back and just wait like a normal human being, then don't read a goddamn book. But yeah, so yeah, and then of course we are kind of left stagnant with more information about the Mimic until Secret of the Mimic comes out, obviously. But before it came out, there was a little interesting video that released, Jackie's Box. Yes, I think Jackie's Box single-handedly probably ruined FNAF, like, ruined FNAF, and also the Mimic in general, because yes, it is lore accurate, and it uses information from the books to, like, tell its, like, shitty story throughout the shitty song, but, like, it was also kind of making fun of it, and then, of course, when Secret of the Mimic came out, I don't think anybody took the story seriously at all, just because of the stupid fucking song thing that it released. Freaking Jackie's Box. Like, again, even I was on the bandwagon with everyone. Fucking, I wasn't taking the Mimic story that seriously until I actually sat down and played the fucking game. But, again, the song made no one really take the Mimic story seriously, and a lot of people knew about the song. Like, a lot of people, even some, like, big streamers. Everybody knows about the fucking Jackie's Box. Everyone knows about that damn song. It's exploded on YouTube. I think it had, like, more views than the actual Secret of the Mimic trailer, I think. But, like, it's just so fucking crazy. This song, like, here's the thing, it's kind of mimicking, like, a past, like, event in FNAF, because after FNAF released, obviously, the Living Tombstone made their Five Nights at Freddy's song, and that had, like, some, like, bits of, like, lore and stuff, but that was played a bit more, like, seriously, and obviously it's legit one of the most famous FNAF pieces of all time. So much so that it's in the goddamn FNAF movie. That's how you know it's big, if it's in the frickin' FNAF movie. But this song, Jackie's Box, it was made completely ironically, was not made with any passion for, like, the actual story of the Mimic, which makes sense for the time. It completely makes sense for the time, because nobody took the Mimic seriously back then, and anyone who did, they were just like a crazy mad FNAF theorist. No one took the Mimic that seriously. So, obviously, when Secret of the Mimic actually came out, I feel like the community either divided or didn't move at all. I don't know which one is which. But then the actual game came out. And it's incredible. I need to get back to the summary. I haven't been talking about the summary that much, but we get introduced to Edwin's Costume Manor, which we have to retrieve the freaking Mimic schematics for, because Fazbear Entertainment wants the Mimic schematics, because because the Mimic is a very impressive piece of technology. It can literally, if you gave it a costume, it could adapt into that costume and, like, change shape, change form into whatever it needs to, and become the character. And I think that Fazbear needed that for possibly future stuff, including possibly the Glam Rocks, I'll be honest. I think the Glam Rock Endos they even kind of look like the Mimic, at least like the original Mimic model. That they... I don't know. It explains that, at least, because, spoiler alert, I do think Fazbear Entertainment, they do get the Mimic schematics one way or another. But anyways, yeah, the whole game, we're on this journey to get the Mimic schematics. We bump into a couple people along the way. Well, not people. They're all the Mimic. Every character in this game is the Mimic's. Even Dispatch. It's revealed later in the game that Dispatch was a Mimic talking to you this whole time. So legit, everything in this whole game was just the Mimic toying with you, which I think is not only scary as shit that this whole time the Mimic is just messing with you, but also it's just it's even more scarier when it's like revealed and like all this fucking it's so good. Also, one thing is Jackie. Jackie, whenever Secret the Mimic was coming out, Jackie was everywhere. And then when the actual game released, she only had 5 minutes of screen time before she never appeared in the game again. Even Dolly and Big Top, even those two, they make small, like... Dolly's segment is fairly long in the game, and Big Top shows up at the very end to, like, give you one final scare and stuff. Jackie never shows up after the beginning of the game. Which I wish it would have been slightly explained. A little bit like what... I understand why they made Jackie like the main target character on like all the box art and stuff. Because obviously Jackie herself has been kind of a recognizable face. I do think because of the fucking Jackie's Box song, that might have been why she was all over all the marketing, is just because people know her for the shitty FNAF song. So then if they saw the game, hey, I wonder what the game is like, because that character, I know that character, she's from that one song that I heard. And they obviously play the game and stuff. But Jackie herself was never really planned to be that big of a character, because again, she not even really is a character, she's just the Mimic in a costume. But yeah, I guess that makes sense why people complain about Jackie not really having that much screen time. It does make sense why, but I never really cared for Jackie as a character even back then, so it doesn't really affect me that much, but I do understand why people feel that way. But obviously, go throughout the game, meet up with Jackie and Big Top and freaking and Nurse Dolly, and then even Party Time Chica. And as time goes on, a story is slowly developing about Edwin, who of course is the runner of this company, and his soon-to-be wife, Fiona, and him slowly, slowly flirting with her throughout all this time. And the company used to be his father's, until it just fell into his hands, and he basically kind of used that to make the company into what he wanted it to be, like a home for all of his wacky inventions that because Edwin's a brilliant inventor. That's one thing that is definitely shown throughout the whole game. Everything in this place was basically made by Edwin. We see all these funny looking mascot guys. All of it's by Edwin and his studio and his company. So obviously, yeah, him and Fiona, and then eventually they do get married, which I do have to point out, it's in a secret dialogue with Mr. Helpful that you get to see if you backtrack throughout the game. There is one dialogue just between Edwin, and it's a proposal to Fiona through the Mr. Helpful device thing, and it's a proposal for Fiona. And it's written so well. It's one of the best, because here's the thing, Edwin, he is kind of a nerd in canon. He is sort of a nerd character, and it makes sense because he's obviously an inventor. But he's talking so naturally, and it blends together so well. I'll be honest, it is kind of a crappy proposal a bit, but it makes sense for Edwin as a character. And of course, yeah, freaking Fiona ends up saying yes, of course. So, and then eventually over time, they do have a child who is named David, Yes, yes, to you who probably saw the Jackie song, yeah, he's just some stupid kid who got hit by a car or whatever. David, I'll be honest, he isn't that developed throughout Secret of the Mimic, but he doesn't really need to be, I don't think. Basically, um, so explaining what happens a little bit before the big top fight, we see a audio log from Fiona saying that she feels bad and needs to check up on the Fall Fest crew, which Fall Fest seems to be some kind of event Fazbear was holding back in the Fredbear days. So obviously this is when Fazbear gets involved in Edwin's company, and Fiona goes to check up on Fallfest, and then some kind of fire happens there, which, again, we don't really know that much about Fallfest. I do hope that if Secret of the Mimic gets a DLC, that is Fallfest. We would play as Fiona, and we would, like, get to experience Fallfest and see exactly what it was, because it also fits with this game, because this game is all about, like, explaining past things, and Fallfest has been one of the biggest things when it comes to new FNAF lore, I guess. But yeah, there ends up being a big fire at Fallfest, and Fiona unfortunately passes away, leaving Edwin alone with David on his third birthday. It's it's super depressing, especially towards the end of the game. There's that one fucking VHS tape of David and Edwin crying over the death of Fiona, and it's so fucking sad. It's so fucking sad, and this is coming from freaking Five Nights at Freddy's. This is still Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's even more unfortunate because the audio log ends with just Edwin saying, "I have to go back to work," so he can't even spend that much time with his son because of his work. His son, who is now grieving over the loss of his mother, and it's just so fucking sad. But again, then Edwin has an idea. He basically makes another Fiona, and that's where the mimic comes in. He makes a endoskeleton, which is possible to like fit into any costume, become any character, like basically do everything that a everything that a anything that anything could happen is the mimic. And basically he programs the mimic to be sort of a replacement Fiona, so the mimic could watch over David while Edwin worked. The mimic obviously, I do think, out of all this story, which the story, it does play itself seriously, obviously, I do think it is slightly funny that, yes, Edwin does have technically a computer wife, a robot wife. I think that's a little funny, but still, it plays itself seriously. And, again, it can be both funny and it plays itself seriously at the same time. I don't, like, hate Jackie's box for being completely, like, dumb or something, but, like, I don't know. I'm getting off track. I'm supposed to be talking about the story. I'm talking about fucking Jackie's box again. But yeah, eventually, some stuff happens, and then David dies, which it is not fully known how David died. It is hinted at in one of the like recording things that it was something to do with a ball, because that was one of the last times that we ever heard David. So I guess if we could use any information from the books, I guess we can use the fact that David got ran over by a car while he was chasing his ball. Yes, I know that's what Jackie's box said, blah blah blah. I don't like using shit from the books, but this is the only piece of information that I'm using from the books, just because it's blank right now. But again, fucking hell. It's basically, yes, David ends up dying, and Edwin crashes out. He gets fucking and he blames it all on the mimic for not taking care of David, and he destroys the mimic basically. So, but then of course the mimic copied the violent behavior of him freaking destroy of freaking him of Edwin destroying the mimic, and the mimic ends up destroying him basically, and the mimic like somehow has like a bomb and it detonates into Edwin's office, and Edwin is basically left to die. The last like audio log that we hear from David, I mean not David, Edwin, is him. I don't know, he's like lying on the floor or something. He can't feel his legs, and then we hear M2 or the mimic copying his voice and like telling him things that he told David to like get David away from him in order to get back to like work, because Edwin was obsessed with work, and more specifically the Fazbear Project, and all that like work and not paying attention to his family ended up getting him killed. And yes, I do think Edwin died. It is kind of left up to interpretation, I think, but Edwin literally he died. I don't know how he could. He fucking bro fucking blew up. I don't think he could survive that. Also, um, I do wonder if he says he can't. Edwin says he can't feel his legs, and then the mimic says, "What do you think? I just finished mine," or something. When I first heard that, I interpreted that the mimic stole his legs and like gave it to himself, because in the books it is explained that the mimic is like the mimic doesn't have legs, but it is not that, because in one of the like oldest recordings of the mimic, which was David's I think fourth birthday, the mimic has legs, so it is not that. The mimic definitely it has legs. So I just misinterpret that, but yeah. Oh look, we hit an hour. I'm still gonna be talking. I don't give a fuck at this point. I just want to talk. But yeah, the mimic obviously now goes on kind of a rampage, and obviously it yeah. So Phasma Entertainment, they still want the mimic, even though it's insane and it's now like killing people and shit just because of Edwin being all mean into it and shit, teaching it violence. Phasma Entertainment they sent quite a few people to try to retrieve the mimic, but most of the people just died. Most of the Phasma Entertainment employees passed away because of the mimic fucking killing people, yeah. But yeah, so obviously Arnold is sent probably as a last resort to try to retrieve the mimic. And eventually we do get the blueprints. At the end of the game, we finally get the blueprints to the mimic. And then we're about to turn in our data diver, which is our like main tool throughout the whole game to like open all the doors, and it has on the data diver, it has the blueprints to the mimic. And then we're about to turn it in, but we choose not to, and I'm pretty sure this is the canon ending. I'm 1000% sure that the van fire ending is the canon ending. We choose not to. We choose not to hand over the data diver, and instead we open up parachute.exe, which like unlocks a secret passageway in the office that brings us down to the Fazbear Project. And while this is happening, Dispatch kind of just lets it out that Dispatch is a mimic. Dispatch may not be the mimic, but Dispatch is a mimic. And then of course, while we're exploring the prototype Freddy Fazbear's, we are stalked by Mimic, the other Mimic, who is M2. I'm just gonna refer to... Okay, so Dispatch is M1, the mimic that is like trying to kill us is M2. Um, M1 was like the original programming that the mimic had. It was like the Fiona programming, I guess. Made the mimic Fiona, I guess. And then M2, I feel like, is the new program that managed to get into itself. I think I think the M2 was trying to mimic David in case David ever passed away. It might have sensed that David was going to pass away at some point, so it was trying to mimic David. And of course, David ended up dying, so it may have gotten like haywire because of that. And that's why it copied Edwin's behavior instead of David's. That's what I think happened. That's why M2 is all crazy and shit. That's why the mimic acts like this. Because I don't think M2. Well, it does have a slight personality because it like uses like audio logs of Edwin to like taunt him while he's laying dead on the ground. So so M2, he does have, or she, mimic, they do have a bit of a personality, I guess, but I don't know, it's a little foggy, but eventually we go into the office itself and we find M1, and specifically it's using Fiona's voice, obviously, because I think M1 is Fiona, but more specifically, it's the mixes machine from FNAF, from Ruin. One of the teasers back from Help Wanted 2 was the van driving off with mixes, which is very, very confusing until you get to this point, because Fiona, or the M2, explains that we need to take the blueprints and just basically, Fiona wants the whole reason that we've been on this quest wasn't really to give the blueprints to Phasma Entertainment. It was to give them to Fiona in order to destroy them, basically. I think it was like just no. It was to make another mimic, specifically to mimic David, to make a mimic to mimic David because Fiona still has like. Or M2 still has the mind of Fiona to, like, care for her child. So, I've been talking for an hour now. I'm getting really tired. I'm trying to keep up, though. I'm really trying. But, yeah, Fiona, she needs Arnold to help make this David mimic, I guess, or to just transmit the David DNA or whatever into M2. I think so. It's hard. The story is really, really good, but I've been talking for an hour because of this video, and So we head to Edwin's house, which he built a house on the top of where, close to where the MCM facility is. And this house in particular, it looks like the FNAF 4 house, so I'm guessing when Phasma Entertainment took all of Edwin's shit, they also took the house. And of course William probably made it into his house, which is insane, but probably true. But yeah, we end up just we piece this whole story together into like we find all these cassette tapes that have like numbers that tell us it both tells us the story of Edwin and Fiona and David, but also it gives us the door code at the same time. We open the door, we get into Edwin's office, and the mimic chases us down one last time as the whole place is crumbling to bits. Probably because the mimic probably planned something with because we know that the mimic has like bombs or whatever fucking hell it used to kill Edwin with. It probably did something to the pizzeria, not pizzeria, holy fuck, to the costume manor. and that's why it's all in like flames. And also there's these like little monster mimics coming after us. Those I'm pretty sure are like either scrapped mimics, like with the mimic program, kind of like with the glitch trap program from Help Wanted, because I do think the glitch trap program is actually I think glitch trap is M1, because M1 is like a program. It's like a program, and also freaking well, it depends if Mixes and Glitch Trap are the same character. I do kind of think Glitch Trap and Mixes are the same character, but it's a little hard to explain, I guess. I don't know. Get back to that. Arnold, he tries to escape the mimic through the car with all the little mimics on top of the car, and eventually the car flips over, and the mimic doesn't kill Arnold. The mimic just takes the data diver and attaches it to its like a chest compartment, I guess, which is I think why a new mimic has like a hole in their chest, because it's where the data diver used to go. And yeah, that's basically the end of the game. There is, of course, other endings. There is, of course, Moon.exe, that whole debacle, which I feel like it's not canon because it's legit the perfect ending for the mimic. Like, the David DNA gets fully completed, and M2 basically just becomes a little David. And then the mimic shuts down and it has its happy ending. That's the way that I guess the mimic story is supposed to end, with like all sunshine and rainbows. But obviously it doesn't go like that, because there's always something bad that does happen in FNAF, and obviously since we know where the mimic story goes, it ends up being trapped underneath Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex. I'm guessing Phasma Entertainment did actually manage to retrieve it. We might find that out in like a DLC or something, how they managed to get it back. Or, I don't know. Basically, they got the mimic back, and then they used some parts of the mimic programming during the Help Wanted game in order to speed up development. And that's where, because here's the thing, M1 was attached to the data diver, so M1 was part of the data diver, and the data diver was probably used into the VR, into FNAF Help Wanted, and that's why Glitch Trap is there. Glitch Trap is M1, and M1 is trying to escape through someone to stop the mimic, I believe. And that's why M1 is like, I guess, manipulating Vanessa in Security Breach, because you're trying to either stop the mimic or just get to the mimic in some capacity. Because that feels like what Security Breach is building up to. It definitely, but yeah. There's probably a lot of plot holes in my theory, but yeah, yeah. But yeah, I have been talking for an hour and 10 minutes now. My throat is getting pretty tired. I guess I did what my video set out to do. It was to talk about FNAF for an hour, and I guess I did that. I guess I just did that. But, yeah, happy FNAF 11-year anniversary. I probably didn't make any new FNAF fans for this video, like I wanted to, but, at least I guess I had fun for an hour just talking to myself. Thank you for watching.